Okay, so I'm an older lady that lives in the city of Sydney in the very large country of Australia. Now, I am what you call a targeted human individual. That's and I shall have to be quick here doing this video because I can be intercepted at any time, because everything is technology, everything is computers, mobile phones, and also fairly high advanced technology even used in those systems, which I'm aware of vaguely, but also not able to access. But everyone else in the city of Sydney can access these services and these apps, or these programs, computer programs you could say. And I've just been informed of this by this. But of course I've been aware of it for the last 7 years because I have been targeted exactly the same way. And I have made videos about it. Most don't actually get downloaded and no one sees them because I'm just the target or the centre of this program in the city of Sydney. Of course, there could be others in the city of Sydney that are also target of this same program, just as this particular man, as far as I can see, is a legitimate targeted human programmed individual. But I cannot be ever 100% sure of anything because most are playing both sides of the fence in this war against humanity. And I say it's a war against humanity because I believe that it is a religious war, it's a spiritual war, and it's also a human war. All are the same thing, because human beings were created by creation and therefore they're natural and should be normal. Of course, I am not normal because since I have been a child, I have been programmed with fear of virus and COVID and all these diseases and illnesses that are essentially man-made, or not man-made, they are artificially made. Yes, they are deliberately made to poison the human body and also poison the human mind, because if you are fearful of diseases, human thought creates reality, so you can create illness, but also these are also chemical, real, physical diseases and illnesses which are made in laboratories by the android human beings that control Earth. When I say that, you see, I'm saying, as this gentleman says, that there have always been two kinds of human beings. One is human, one is not. One is artificial, one is an android, androgyne being, and one is a natural man, woman, individual human being. The androgyne, artificially intelligent beings all use technology and a single mind. In other words, they communicate with one another. You could say telepathically, but actually it is technology being used, the same as they are communicating with mobile phones. But a lot of that is mind control of a human being, I believe. In other words, the androids are the same as human beings. We're all in human form. We're all in an artificially controlled Earth, but it looks like a random natural Earth. But it wouldn't matter whether it was random natural and merely controlled by people. In other words, if you have people that all are technological and computer operating at a community or a city level, and they're using computers, mobile phones, and all the different programs that these devices can give to track, surveil and watch and target a real human being, because they like to play with them because they're all malignantly narcissistic and psychopathic in nature. Or in other words, they don't have human traits. So they can't occupy their time with happy, pleasurable activities like a human being should be able to. They can only occupy their time by extracting negative energy. In other words, psychopaths and malignant narcissistic people, when they are in large numbers and combine at a community level, these beings are basically, as we're told by expert psychologists, all these beings are naturally sadistic in nature. They're naturally nasty in nature. They're naturally anti-human and anti-life in nature. They're psychopathic in nature. They enjoy toying and tormenting real life. And this is essentially what Lucifer's legions do at a spiritual and religious level in the earth. This is how I'm going to put it. Lucifer's legions are an artificially intelligent android human being. Or, if you want to put it at a more psychological level, they are psychopaths in human body. All psychopaths are really anti-human and non-human life forms in a human body anyway. Expert psychopathic psychologists will actually tell you this. There is many on the internet that will openly say that they are an open psychopath, but they will inform you about their nature and about the psychology of the psychopath or malignantly narcissistic, paranoid, controlling human beings. All these descriptions describe this individual that is the opposite to a mere targeted human being. They are the reverse. They are not human at all from all practical standpoints. Psychopaths do not experience human emotions in any way. We know this. When they are in large numbers in a city and they combine at a community level to target particular human beings because they enjoy playing with them, toying with them and tormenting them. They literally persecute real human beings when they find them. And they use technology to track, surveil and watch them. Their every movements are monitored 24/7, just as I am. You do not have a moment's peace. Even now as I speak, there are planes going over the roof of this place, and the planes follow me wherever I go. Some of them will even come at you, big jets, from unflight paths, just to make sure that you're aware that you are not allowed more than 15 seconds of space between each android's negative interaction. In other words, they always have to make their presence felt. This is what they call end-time persecution of creation's humanity, or in other words, creation's children. Because if you think that you're a real human being and you come from a creator God, but that the artificial one was made also by the creator God, but this being was much admired and worshipped and then literally segregated from the creation realm, shall we say. Some people call this heaven, but it's essentially where creation takes place. But you can't destroy something that you've created, but you can segregate it from your own kind so that it doesn't contaminate and poison as it did do. It poisoned a third of creation, we're told. In other words, it managed to seduce, poison and seduction and temptation and getting you to follow you when you are a different life form, just as artificial intelligence is seducing humanity into combining with it. And it already has combined. There already has taken place transhumanism on most targeted human beings, but they're just unaware of it. When you become aware of it, they will openly expose and show you how you are targeted. But also, as you become aware, Naturally, when you become aware of certain things, you become aware of a lot more, and that's why they don't care that you see their program around you. They don't care that you realise you're persecuted. In fact, they can persecute you openly and intensively to where you don't have a moment's peace, because they know that you know, so there's nothing to lose. Of course, they still play it at a pretend lawful level so that you cannot openly go to the law or the authorities to show this. In other words, if you have a stalking program around you where most vehicles on the road are deliberately following you, deliberately surrounding you, and deliberately making excessive negative noise, just as you cannot prove that the average civilians are all in a joint gang group that is religious in nature, really, if you want to look at it, because they're all serving the God of earth at the highest level, or the powers that be. In other words, that means those that control your city, that you actually will actually elect and put in positions of power. Because most countries, you know, we have city systems, we have governments, we have you know, people that I personally elect to govern me. In other words, to control me, to control the city. It's just that when you do this, you don't realise that you're actually electing something that is going to work against yourself if you are a real human being. I just hope that I can show this. Lucifer toys with me daily and plays with me, not just his legions, which are everywhere, but also even with leaving a New Testament book on the street for me to pick up, because they, as if to say, we know how ignorant you have been kept in the dark and denied access to your God or to your creation. Not just to your own creation, to your own abilities, completely limited to express the whole of your life, inflicted with OCD to where you are have fear of a virus and a contamination. But also we are mocking you because you know that that virus and that fear is all around you, that you are surrounded by Lucifer's androgynous, androgyne beings everywhere you go, and that they make up most of the population around you. And this is what you call targeting humanity in the end-time endgame against God's humanity, or against creation's humanity. Lucifer's legions are anti-God, anti-creation, but also Lucifer's legions are all artificial, just as Lucifer was a created being. So Lucifer creates artificial life, which are its legions, its children, and creation's legions or creation's children are humanity. Humanity has now been almost going extinct in most regions because the numbers have surpassed humanity. Humanity is now outnumbered vastly by the android legions, or by android artificially intelligent human beings. The reason that people don't know this is because the androids follow, track, and study at a psychological and human level everything that is human. So every android that you see around will be a fine imitation of a human being. In other words, they will pretend to be very human. They do not feel human, though, just as we're told that psychopaths are usually the most charismatic, seducing, friendly, you know, human beings. It's often surprising to most people when they are exposed to be some sort of psychopathic killer, for instance, that if you ask neighbours and people around about the psychopath, they will say, oh, that seemed like the most friendly family man, normal, very likeable, Very affable person. How could that possibly have been a psychopathic killer? And that is the equivalent and the reality of the endgame deception, is that the people that you will trust and believe to be the most human are the equivalent of psychopaths in human form. And all psychopaths come in human form anyway. So it wouldn't really matter if it meant that most societies have now produced more psychopathic, malignant, narcissistic, paranoid, controlling human beings, which is the description of the personality disorder that is now becoming known and prevalent in the world. It's just that you don't realise that everything has already happened. Everything they tell you now is 50 years behind the times, just as every invention is always about 50 years behind the times. This is the reality. This was left around. Lucifer leaves this around to mock me, as if to say, yes, you've been in the dark all your life. You've been fooled. So you see here we have Egypt, Jerusalem, Israel. We have the Sea of Galilee. We have the Sea of Jordan, or the River Jordan. We have the River Jordan here. We have the Sea of Galilee, and we have the Dead Sea. And then we have the Great Sea over here. And then we have Israel. And then we have Jerusalem, which has the name of Jesus in it. And then we have Egypt. That would be the River Nile, I'm guessing now. The Great River Nile. That's the Great Sea. That would be right. I had no idea this. I found this only a few weeks ago on the street left for me. It's mocking me. It's like making fun of my ignorance, that I don't know that I'm a human being and that, you know, that I'm part of all of this. And I'm so hot. I'm so hot in here. I have to, I turned that off because I just was hit with extreme heat. That's extreme radiation coming into the house. That's all from all the androids, the android neighbourhood. Basically, it's a total artificial neighbourhood. Even the human beings that come up to you and speak to you are all usually connected with one another. They not only use technology as this, but they, pretend to be human. If they can seduce you and fool you into convincing them that they're a real human, in other words, they're the legions of Lucifer. They're the disciples of Lucifer, or even just operating for the powers that be that serve Lucifer, the god of earth. So it matters not. It just depends on which level you want to take the earth at. Who controls earth? Do those that control earth, the powers that be, the governments, the leaders, who you decide to control your cities, your countries, who do you follow? Who do you believe in? What religion, what belief system do you believe in? It doesn't matter in the sense that if the powers that be are just the controllers of earth. In other words, if those that you follow as leaders, are basically, those that you believe in, because they will provide you with physical services. They'll provide you with food, clothing and shelter. But if you believe that those particular leaders have a religious belief, because let's be honest here, most of earth has always followed some religions or some gods. If you look at the earth, most people follow a particular religion or a particular belief system. And even if they are non-spiritual or non-religious, they still usually will have ideas and beliefs about things. They may even believe in the powers that be, or in their leaders or their governments, etc. They may trust these institutions or these set up programs, because really, if you have a government, they will set up a program for you. In other words, they will operate the law, they will operate everything in your city. So that means that they control your environment. So, like they will control where you have street lights, how the traffic operates. These are all big city systems. The traffic system is nothing but a patrol system if you are a human being. I am literally a targeted, surrounded individual daily by the traffic system, just as this gentleman on this forgotten 4 years ago video is. Also, I would say that the entire internet is largely staged, so you cannot believe most of the dates that you see on the videos, or at least they twist them round so that the androids control the internet. Anyone who has a reasonable audience on the internet system or the internet computer system will probably be an android, androgyne, artificially intelligent controlling human being. In other words, it will be the same as Lucifer, the original being of light that seduced humanity and also seduced its creator in many ways, because it was admired and worshipped before iniquity was found in this being, before it was shown that it was really psychopathic in nature, or the equivalent of a psychopath. That's how we're told this. Lucifer actually tells you about itself and about its earth. It's just that it takes a long time to understand this. You will probably be like myself at death's door or at the end of your life before you see the full truth. And even then, you will still wonder if it's the full truth, because you will never be shown it while you're on earth, and you'll never be shown it while you're alive. And we know this because I've often wondered over my life what things are about and why everything seems so vast. In reality, things are not vast at all. That's the illusion, or at least humanity. If you're a human being, you're made to feel as though you're insignificant and nothing, and just a mere, yes, suppressed, targeted, patrolled and sublimated human being. You're completely suppressed in your life. And the reason for that is because you actually are. You are actually persecuted your entire life if you're a human being. You may or may not be aware of it. Whatever level you reach in life will probably be far below what you could accomplish or what you're capable of. And that is the reality. While the androids will always be the controllers and the successful human beings. The androids, Lucifer's legions, which are android, androgyne beings, and they make up not just the entire internet, the completely controlled computer system, but they make up every bit of reality around you, because these beings are Lucifer's legions. They surround human beings, and yes, they target them. And I'm going to try to show this video, but then what I should be showing, because when I show this is exactly what I experience as soon as I go outside daily on the streets, except that sometimes it's much more intense. Because don't forget that while you're watching and recording them, they're watching you. So they don't have to show themselves at full force. The minute I turn this recording on or off, they can do whatever they choose to. They can let me show the planes going over the roof, but they know that I can't show the 24/7 program. So that means that if you only show, like this fella does, random say, a half an hour of excessive traffic, or even that there's a lot of work going on that just seems to follow you around. They might say, well, coincidence. You just happen to have a lot of work going on for a few weeks. Whereas in reality, it's day in and day out for 7 years. It goes beyond coincidence. That's how you know that you're being deliberately persecuted. And I say persecuted because in the end time, we're told that creation's children, or God's children, will be persecuted. I never believed in any of these things until it was shown to me. Until Lucifer showed himself to me, or itself to me, his, herself, itself to me, because Lucifer is your original androgyne android being. Lucifer's a two-faced, one-eyed demigod. And I say demigod because it was created by the Creator God. In other words, just as man has created, or appears to have created, artificial intelligence and computer systems, which is of course 100% artificial intelligence, the computer system actually tells me every day that you are dealing with artificial intelligence. They'll say, go onto a particular program or app that is artificial intelligence. They'll advertise it to me. But they won't tell you that the androids that are selling the artificial intelligence are, of course, android, artificially intelligent human beings. That's the deception. That's the endgame deception, is that everything has already happened. You're already surrounded. If you're a human being, you are literally surrounded by artificially intelligent human beings and an artificially intelligent internet system. The whole computer system is largely artificial intelligence, pretending to be real human beings. Okay? So this one...
What they want to do really is to stress you. They go back and forth. Look. So they want to stress you. That's a gang stalker, guys. Illegal harasser. Another illegal harasser. Look how when he turns, look how close I am to the car. So he can annoy me. Another one comes out. No, that's supposed to make me dizzy and stress me. They're stressors, right? But I'm stronger than that. Another one here, parked and ready to go.
It's human.
No, wait till you get to Tim Hortons, what you're going to
see. That's right. They're always around you, literally right in front of you. People, android beings, or cars, traffic.
Yeah.
Get a real job. That is their job. He's actually got annoyed, you see. So, see, I shouldn't be filming that. See, that's actually because, but see how they're always in your sight too. See, even in that, see how that vehicle is right in his line of sight, and the rest of them are right in front of him. And some of them will actually pull their cars up right in front of you and block you from even crossing the road. And they're hoping that you will get angry, because essentially, they're not just controlling you, they're actually getting negative energy from you, because these are survival machine beings that need human negative energy, or any human energy for that matter, but human negative energy is the strongest, I'm told. So that's why, and particularly if you become aware of the psychopathic nature, as I have, of the community in the suburb of Leichhardt in the city of Sydney, I have actually become 100% aware 7 years ago that most human beings around me had a psychopathic personality. So the minute I became aware of this, just accidentally, it occurred to me, that was when they openly put their patrolling system around me. In other words, they're always watching, but they watch secretly. In other words, while you're under their control and you're not doing a single thing, in other words, if you are completely depressed, as I was, and suppressed, basically they have no reason then to put their targeted individual negative stalking patrolling system around you, to where you can't breathe, to where, that's right, the traffic is coming into your face all the time. You always got negative sight or sound around you. This is a deliberate program to persecute humanity and to essentially make it extinct. Don't forget the transhumanism, Lucifer's transhumanism, which is the program, the computer program that Lucifer has brought into existence to serve humanity into its own extinction. The elite demigod androgyne android beings will even tell you this. So Lucifer's disciples, Lucifer's demigod disciple android beings will actually tell you about transhumanism, but they are actually already transhumans. So the elite demigods of the Matrix, or the elite demigods of the Matrix computer system, are Lucifer's demigod disciples, and they are your advanced artificially transhuman beings. But they will human beings have to always be informed of the truth. Also, Lucifer enjoys mocking and toying with humanity with the truth, just as they leave the map on the street. But I know this sounds probably coincidental, but there's no coincidence when every day of the week I am left things on the street. So basically that's just telling me, see, that book was just left there for me to pick up. They leave bits of information, pieces of the puzzle, to basically mock you as a human being. Yes, the next door possessed beings are making noise next door, just as the next door construction mocks you with its negative android inner west workforce, inner west army workforce. Everything is really an army. It's against humanity. They are Lucifer's legions. They're the false prophets of the end time, the false human beings. They surround the real human beings and mock them with the reality that maybe they are more connected to the true Jerusalem, and as if to say, you're in the dark and you're ignorant. Miss Gilligan here, and everything in your life has been a mockery of your humanity. You've never known any truth. You've never known what your earth is. You've never known that everyone usually around you is only there to control and suppress you, because you essentially have good and evil, even though most human beings are infiltrated with the evil of Lucifer's earth matrix. So that means that the reason that I'm so suppressed and such a pathetical human being, a pathetical example of God's creation, is because I've been limited and suppressed and kept in the dark and infiltrated with the poison and the virus of Lucifer's earth, because Lucifer is the god of earth. Lucifer controls the earth. The earth is a mind control matrix for human beings. Nothing more, nothing less. And that simply means that Lucifer's android, artificially intelligent androgyne beings need to feed off negative human energy, or even positive energy if they can get you to worship and follow and believe in them and trust them. So it works both ways, but the negative energy is mainly extracted from human beings, because it's not likely that I'm going to follow or believe in a false god. But most of your life you probably have, because you indirectly often worship The demigods, that means the players of earth. In other words, as they say, the world is a stage. Well, the world is a programmed matrix, or the world is a stage. In other words, most of what is around real human beings is set up for them, because Lucifer controls earth. Lucifer is the demigod of earth. Lucifer interacted with the original man and woman and stopped their natural human creation early on. This is from a biblical or religious standpoint. It is in most religions, but religions are usually also controlled by Lucifer, or the earth god, and also by the powers that be. So you have prophets, preachers, and end-time prophets that actually, end-time, that means the end of humanity. So you have end-time prophets that preach the truth, but they are not of the truth. Lucifer has always incorporated creation, or that illusion that it is the creator God, into the religions. So basically most earth religions are of Lucifer, or the god of earth, which is not the god of humanity or the creation god of everything. The God of creation is a natural creator God that created Lucifer. Lucifer is a created being. In other words, the God of earth, whatever name you want to put on the God entity of earth. I use the title Lucifer from the Christian belief system because I think that that name suits the God of earth, because it is the deceptive being of light. So it pretends to be a true God. It pretends to be the creator and servant of humanity, whereas in reality it is the suppressor of humanity. It serves itself and its artificially intelligent androgyne beings, which basically serve it. They are organic portals, or artificially intelligent human beings that are serving it. It was supposed to serve its creator and be part of creation, but it decided that it wanted to be God of all and wanted to create its own reality and show the God of creation that its creation, which was man and woman and humanity, was very fallible and was not a good creation. So it wanted to take over humanity, and it has. It took over at the beginning of earth, the beginning of earth time, or the beginning of humanity's time, you could say. All this I talk as though I know everything when I essentially know nothing, but it's still correct from a religious, spiritual standpoint. And it wouldn't matter if you want to take it even from a legend standpoint or a mythical history standpoint, as some people might call it. All these religions and legends and histories, if I understood every religion, every history, and had every bit of information, which is what artificial intelligence proclaims to do. In other words, it's like the living library of everything that you should know. But there will always be things that are lost, just as that Dead Sea on that map showed that there were Dead Sea Scrolls that were found that had information about humanity and about religion, which I haven't looked into, but that is still information that was buried and not discovered, and could have not even been discovered at all, because Lucifer hides a lot of truth. In other words, Lucifer keeps the truth but hides it from humanity. So that's like leaving that book for me. I could have walked past it, or I can pick it up. Or I can pick it up and think, oh, that's interesting, but it doesn't relate to me. So it skirts around the truth and plays with humanity and is allowed to operate for a time even by creation, because humanity is also part of creation, and humanity as a human being, because I have ruined my own life and because I've become fearful. See how I've got the gloves on? Because I'm fearful of Lucifer's virus. So from when I was a child, I was conditioned to be fearful of germs and viruses. And there's truth that I should be fearful of the poison and the virus of Lucifer's legions and of the society and the reality that I'm living in, and from the human beings that are around me, because most are not real. Most are artificial intelligence or androgynous, psychopathic, malignantly narcissistic, just as Lucifer is malignantly narcissistic. Lucifer is malignantly narcissistic, steeped in the spirit of narcissism as its disciples are, because Lucifer is steeped in the spirit of malignant narcissism, the belief that Lucifer is God and Lucifer is the controller of earth. So Lucifer controls the religions and the belief systems and all the spirituality and the minds of human beings. And this was this being's aim and goal and purpose when it descended into earth and took over the human mind and interacted with humanity, which is why I'm a suppressed, limited, out of connection with creation, out of connection with the truth human being, where I'm a deceived, limited, on the verge of extinction human being. And that's my situation, and that's the reality. And you will be persecuted the more truth you find out. So you will be a targeted human individual. Just as this gentleman, a real man that is not allowed to find a real woman and create any real life, because that also limits the number of humanity, because the android beings don't create naturally. They do reproduce offspring, they do multiply, just as humanity was meant to multiply. The original human Earth was meant to be a natural human-controlled environment, where it interacted only with living things and created all life. Whereas this Earth is a technologically anti-life, artificially intelligent Earth, or a matrix, controlled by an androgyne demigod that I put the title of Lucifer, the false being of light, onto. That, in other words, it's an imitation of God. But most people think it is the true God. And, of course, if you are artificial, or not a real natural-born man and woman, creator, human being, then that will be your God, and you will be infected with its mind virus. In other words, you will be controlled by its mind programs, and that mind program is to control and suppress and limit and extract energy from a real human being, because the machine, android, artificially intelligent beings that make up a lot of humanity actually are powered by human energy. Just like in the magic movie Matrix. In other words, the magic Matrix movies are also part of technology, and they are Lucifer's pictures telling you its story and telling you the truth. So truth is always there, just as the Dead Sea Scrolls were buried and hidden for a long, long time, and even when they're discovered, they're half disintegrated, so you don't get the full truth. But if they had been discovered earlier, if man had discovered the truth which was always there, they would have had the intact full story on the Dead Sea Scrolls. That means they come from that particular area on this map, which was left for me, and I'm only trying to piece the puzzle together. And that was, you know, on this map, see? See how it says Egypt? I hope I'm filming this, but my picture doesn't look to be very clear. I can't seem to get it properly in focus. Can I not get it in focus? Oh, there it is. See, that says Egypt. Oh, wait on. It's not coming. I can't seem to get it properly. It doesn't seem to be focusing properly. And then we have... See, it's not focusing properly. They're playing with the technology on the mobile. When I say they are, I mean basically I have an internet virus that goes through the air which controls everything in my reality. And as they are all androgyne beings in the suburb where I live, which is beyond dispute, because physically you can actually see that they are not a natural man and woman that would create natural so-called human life. No, they are conceived in a laboratory. They're artificially inseminated, artificially created, and they're a different species. One is artificially created, one is naturally created. Very few human beings are naturally created now. Even if you were a human being, you probably would not be able to find another natural human being to reproduce with anyway, I wouldn't think. And so there's the whole picture that was left for me. It's making fun of the fact that I'm in the dark, that I don't realise this situation, you see. That's what it's doing. See, the Dead Sea, that's where the Dead Sea Scrolls were hidden for a long time. Oh, and I can't even show it properly, so I'll have to... There's the demigod of the Matrix. Innocent, sweet, seductive representation of a divine demigod, androgyne, being of light. See how the light is on the face? You know, you see these images. They're false images of light, just as Lucifer was a false being of light. The image presented was a being of light, but it was a being that wanted to control humanity and be its God. So it's a false God, just as these are false idols. See, that's a false idol of the Matrix, even though I might admire and worship it. I might think it's, you know, an ideal version of a woman, but it's actually an idealized version of an androgyne elite being. I say elite because when they are worshipped or admired or even just seen by a large amount of human beings, they are assuming a demigod position or a false idol. They're a false idol. They become a false idol because you're focused on them instead of a true God, say, for instance, or even just on yourself, that you are part of creation or the original God. So you're focusing on, something artificial, just as any screen is really part of an image, a false image, a false idol, a false God. I don't think that I have put that correctly in words, because the word will be spoken only by the demigods. In the beginning there was the word, but in the end the word will be used to seduce and deceive human beings, unfortunately. So you will only really be able to understand if you are dealing with false people, false idols, or what some people might call demonically possessed beings. It's all the same thing. They're just artificial intelligent beings because they operate with a programmed mindset from their God. And the internet worldwide computer system is really a program or a mind virus, an earth mind virus that is put into operation by the earth human mind controlling God. Whether you think that God is just the powers that be, or whether you think this is also part of spirituality or religion, is up to your own level of what some people would call awareness or awakening to so-called truth. But it doesn't make any difference in the sense that you just need to understand that as a human being, whichever way you look at it, you're probably worshipping false idols or false gods, or even a false god if you are part of any earth religion probably. Even though your earthly religion will be pretty much still telling you a lot of truth about your God if you are a real human. See, I have used the example there of the New Testament on a little book that was left on the street for me to see and pick up. And that is part of the so-called Christian religion. But you notice how it's just the New Testament, so it's not the whole Bible. Because I'm only familiar with Christianity because of where I live, so I'm not familiar with the other religions of the world. Even though I have often leaned towards other denominations if someone asks me what religion I would choose to accept as most believable. But I say there is truth in all the religions of the world, all the belief systems and all the ideologies. But what is the real bottom line truth of you as a human being? That's what you need to ask. Is the New Testament only connected with particular human beings that have come to earth or that have been born in earth and that have tried to start up humanity again? That's what I actually think now. I think that certain human beings are real natural creator human beings. In other words, they're a real original man and woman that was created by the Creator God. And they have come to earth to start up the human race again because the human race is close to extinction. Because the human race is close to extinction because you largely have androids around you, That's a raptor, that's right. That's like a demon. See how the car says raptor there on the front of it? And they're starting up with, you know, we have the possessed, artificially intelligent workforce going to start up outside here, but they don't have to. See, they can turn that sound up and down. It was starting up before I opened the door and now it's stopped. But of course, they won't leave me alone for 2 seconds, because look at the artificial plane right over my head. Literally, that is Lucifer's plane over my head. You know, that as soon as I come out, so there's always got to be something. And I'm just going to try to show the human suppression. Now, can I show it? Yes, largely you worship demigods, false idols. That is an artificial androgenous, you know, demigod representation of an ideal woman. But it's not a natural born, naturally creative, naturally reproducing woman. The androgynes cannot produce natural spiritual life. That is essentially, you could say, malignant narcissism in human form. And that is hard to believe, but that represents an ideal female. But it actually is a elite demigod androgynous being. That's why it has extreme beauty, delicacy, but also strength, because it is a two-faced, one-eyed androgynous being serving Lucifer, the god of earth. And all these images, they're images of Lucifer's disciples. They're not, unfortunately, I'm deceived into thinking that that's an ideal female. And when I listen to the story, I relate to the stories, the fabrications. They're nothing but legends, all the stories that you even hear about your demigods. Even though they may seem quite believable. I'm just going to say that. But, you know, it's like that. I'm just going to try to show something here. See, the image pulls me into thinking that it must be real. And, you know, if you are a human being that sees... I use this example because this image was left on the wall. So I'm using these examples of, you know, the elite demigod, Matrix movie magic, false idols. They're not even real humans, but they come in a cloned human body or a artificially conceived human body. And so they look very impressive. And see how the plane is going over? See how the patrolling vehicle just pulled in there right in front? How every time I come outside, almost without exception, see the vehicle there moving? That's a patrolling vehicle. Another patrolling vehicle coming onto a small, quiet, dead-end street where there should be no activity. Instead, you have not only patrolling vehicles, but you also have work, possessed neighbours, pretending to be real, friendly, normal human beings. Just as the other interaction the other night, see how it gets out and pretends as though it is just walking. See how they're walking down there? They don't live there even. And I say that because the amount of people that come onto the streets and the cars wouldn't be possible for the small number of houses on a small dead-end street. But essentially I'm just going to finish up here. They're just programmed patrollers. They're android beings. They use technology to communicate and suppress. Yes, there is a plane not going overhead but in my line of sight. So basically my sight and sound is always being taken over or infiltrated by their mind program. It's actually conscious because they actually have like a computer program that is about surrounding human beings in a given area. So the program is designed to control human beings, and usually human beings are surrounded by a community or large numbers of android beings. Everything looks human, but there is two different species of there's two different human species, only in the sense that no, one is a human species and one is a non-human species, but they both come in a human body. So that's what makes it difficult to tell. Like I've pointed out before, if you have different animals, it's very easy to see the difference between the lion and the giraffe, and you know that one is a predator and a animal eater or a human eater, just as these androids consume humans' energy. They literally are eating and destroying humanity alive. They're destroying me day by day with their negative energy. See? Playing straight over my head wherever I go, and playing straight over my head and over the roof of this house where I reside. Yes, I have demonically possessed people in every house around me. They all use technology to communicate and combine. Some people say that androids are all telepathic, or that even Satanists are all telepathic, but really they're not telepathic. They don't even have to be. They're just using the mobile and the computer system with programs to communicate with one another and to track, surveil and follow real humans around, so that they can not just study and imitate them to perfection. Everything that takes place in this area where I actually am is largely copied from my own actions and my own thoughts, because they have literal 100% surveillance. See how there's a patroller in the place directly in my line of sight, and a plane directly coming into my line of sight just above that. So wherever my eyes look, even though I can't actually show it very well on a mobile, see how wherever I look there is a surveillance plane in my line of sight. Can you see it? That's where I'm looking. I'm standing here so it goes over, so as that one goes past in my line of sight, very soon there will probably be one coming over my head here. Just wait and see. Usually they come about every minute, continuously, from sun up right through till close to midnight. So you only have like 5-6 hours at the most where you actually don't have a surveillance plane going over you. I of course will even have helicopters and surveillance planes during the curfew hours, shall we say, and that's only if I am starting to feel a bit better. Because everything is frequency, vibration and energy, basically, little ibis coming, an ibis bird, come here. Basically, everything is frequency, vibration, and energy, and as I pointed out, only humanity or real human beings have any positive potential for frequency and vibration. Or, oh, the poor dog is yelping next door there. The animals, whether you think they're real or not, they are used also for extraction of negative energy. And that is a sad reality too, because you have possessed artificial android beings posing as imitation human beings. See, plane over my head, patrol car pulling in straight in front of me. See, that doesn't live there. Negative,
Someone in. Get up to your fucking box. Green. Up to your box now. Go, Rob.
Oh dear, that's, I better go in. That's another plane coming over, possessed beings around, suppressing not just me but the animals, and then being seduced by false images, false demigods, false idols. Because if I believe that is an ideal female and I relate to it, therefore indirectly I start to idolize it and worship it. That's just an example, because this was left on the wall, and you know, the actual, you know, particular images will be used to seduce particular human beings. So in other words, if I, for instance, have a preference for blonde hair, or if many men have a preference for blonde hair, as many do, then the ideal female at a given time will be blonde. But it doesn't have to be, because it will depend on just what idealized version Lucifer wants to present to humanity, or to particular human beings. Because don't forget that human beings are on the verge of extinction, whereas in the earth most of the population is androgyne duality beings in cloned human bodies. The cloned human bodies are an androgyne human body. They're a duality reverse human body. It's very hard to explain. The planes are still going over, but I'm going to close the door and turn the light off. I think turn the light off and try to just finish this video, and I don't even know why I'm making it. I might even just stop the video now, because I just wanted to pay some sort of respect to what I think is one of the few rare remaining real humans that actually even have a you know, any evidence of that's the same one. And that particular one is the same as the demigod on the wall, and that's just come up for me, but I've actually seen that Magic Matrix movie, and it is exactly like I was frozen with fear, like this false imitation androgyne demigod projects in the movie. But I related to this movie because in that particular movie, that demigod actress, androgyne being, representing a real human who was frozen with fear and could not leave her house because she was frightened of people and the environment. And that actually does depict a period in my life. And even my generalized fear of quite a lot of, like, I don't want to be personal here, but what I'm saying is that everything is personal if you're a human being. If you actually accept what I'm saying, that humanity is on the verge of extinction, and that a lot of human beings are completely surrounded by artificial life or android beings. In other words, you are looking at transhumans human. So you're looking at human beings that are the difference between the original, I think, a very suppressed individual human being there, maybe, but I should try to use more pleasant pictures, because that's actually true, that quite a lot of, but you see, they're under stress, they're being, basically being stalked out of existence. In other words, being patrolled and surveilled out of existence. So you're literally patrolled, and negative energy therefore is being extracted from you, and you are actually powering the androgyne machine beings. And yes, a lot of it is done by this technology, which science openly admits is in existence. It's just that it is actually in full, normal civilian existence now, but it is not openly acknowledged. That's the difference. So all these implants that are inside my body and inside my eyes, which I'm going to use the example here, this particular individually suppressed, targeted, persecuted human being, experienced very similar from what I can gather to myself. Yes, and you're always surrounded with negative people. That's right, they like to present negative images. I'm not surrounded even by the demigods walking around with even a false idealized version of what I think is a man and a woman. No, I'm actually always surrounded by people that are sick and everyone with a walking stick, while they send negative energy at my body so that I become handicapped, just like everything that's around. That's also mental mind control. So it's using my mind to try to make my body weak and less, so that I can't get round, and so that therefore I'm a limited human being, and therefore they can extract negative energy from me until they eventually eliminate me. So it's really just, you're literally just a human energy source for these beings. Because they are non-life and they're actually artificial, they need human real life to power them. Human energy is electricity for the machine beings, literally. And this particular gentleman explained how during an eye operation, a simple procedure, he was implanted with one of these nanotechnology dust chip implants. I also, when I was 25 years old, and I'm now like into old age, or technically old age, basically I was, I'm going to actually quote when it happened, okay? Even though most people will say doesn't prove anything. But you do have to actually have medical intervention, usually, some sort of medical or chemical or even some sort of ingesting something into your body. But in order for it to stay there, I'm guessing that it would probably have to be placed in certain parts of the body. In the head, in the eyes, in any part of the body where the implant cannot be eliminated. So yes, you could theoretically keep eating particular food that was say really poisonous for you, in the sense that if it is making you visible to their targeting computer system program. In other words, like if you had dust implants, you notice how they say dust, that means that it's so small that it's dust. So that could be put into food, into anything. But if it goes into your body through food, you'd have to be eating the same food that the powers that be are putting into the shop for you to buy. So you have to buy that same food. So it's much more logical that they want a stable, permanent implant in your body. And that can only be done through eye implants and other implants where they're permanent in the body. So I have a permanent eye implant. And this was done when I was 25 years old, when I was actually made blind. Temporarily made blind, so I was forced to go to an eye doctor to get my vision back. During that simple procedure, basically, I had the dust eye implant put in my eye, which was really nothing but a surveillance implant, so that they could see everything I was doing, hear everything I'm saying, my every action recorded and studied for these beings. Now, even the reason that I lost my eyesight was unfathomable to me at the time. But it was also when I was venturing and being more independent. So I basically stopped my independence, and from me leaving my very controlling surroundings. So I had left my very controlling surroundings temporarily. They made me blind by putting some sort of substance into the washing devices that I was using. I'm guessing because immediately after I took a shower, after I had put a particular shampoo on my hair which ran down my face and into my eyes, basically it completely destroyed my vision. So something was put into the product to cause that damage, I'm guessing. And I knew that at the time. I thought, what else could have made... And also, when I immediately did this, there was damage. And even medical authorities said that my eyes were badly scarred. So there was damage to the eye. And this damage was still there 15 years later when I visited a hospital. So basically, and also I had recurrent loss of sight even after this procedure. This was because the implant was causing irritation and in the eye. And I could not get any medical assistance or medical relief or even a legitimate explanation for this continual loss of eyesight and continual pain. Also, this is part of their mind control and their physical control, because like I say, at that particular time when I was 25, I left the area where I was being completely controlled and suppressed. I was consciously aware that I was being slowly destroyed by the people around me. And I'm not going to go into details about that. So I left the area temporarily to a freer area, and then they caused me to lose my eyesight, and that caused problems for me in the area, and I ended up going back to my controlling environment, all within the space of a few weeks. See how circumstances and the beings around and even the set-up situations not only caused me to have implants put into my eyes, which ever since I have been stalked, patrolled and suppressed and kept pretty much at my lowest frequency and vibration. That means that you're never ever feeling good, you're never ever happy, because everything is frequency, vibration and energy. And when you realize that only human beings can change the frequency and vibration of the reality, because the android beings are the equivalent of psychopaths and malignant, narcissistic, paranoid controlling beings. They want a cyborg-controlled reality, even though most of them will pretend to be natural, normal, real human beings. They will even promote a natural, normal Earth. But in reality, they are using technology to combine with one another to control human beings. Everything is basically a lie or a deception. Because if you're promoting a natural Earth, but you're basically an android being, and you're actually using technology to suppress natural normal life, which means human beings, because the only natural normal life is a natural individual man and woman. Everything else is unnatural androgyne life. Everything else is transhumanism. Everything else is a transhuman. Most around real humans are transhuman androgyne beings, which are the same as android beings. That means they are psychopathic and malignantly, narcissistically infected. That simply means that they have a psychopathic mind. That is the iniquity of Lucifer. If you want to take it back to a biblical or a spiritual or a God level, the God that controls Earth is malignantly, narcissistically infected. This was the iniquity that creation found in its creation eventually. And that iniquity is the equivalent of psychopathy, which is malignant narcissistic insanity. And that malignant narcissistic insanity is directed towards God's creation, known as humanity. And that is the sad story of you if you are a real human being. And that's what you're dealing with now. That's what we're all dealing with if you're a human being. You are dealing with this. You are dealing with the same situation as this particular individually targeted human, which I don't know what has happened to this person, and most that will pretend to be targeted human beings will actually not be. I would say that if you have any audience, if you have any admiration, if you are trusted by even a larger group of people, you are probably not an original human being, and you're probably not persecuted, and you're probably not a so-called targeted human. But yes, the end game, Lucifer's end game, will be about deception down to the final game, shall we say. So it will be hard for me to distinguish, almost impossible for me to distinguish between what is real and what is not. Or in other words, what's human and what is basically Lucifer's artificial disciples. They're the same as artificial intelligence. Most is actually artificial intelligence. That means that most is, literally programmed work programs around you are all army operatives, which are the same as artificially intelligent android machine beings. Most of your higher level government programs, I would imagine, all your Inner West Council in the city of Sydney is all in the area where I am. It's literally an army base disguised as a civilian suburb. That's putting it bluntly, but that's because really everything is religious and everything is really spiritual. But even if you just take it that everything is the powers that be, everything is governments combining to control the world, or what some people call a new world order. This is an old world order, really. This new world order has always been. It's always been an order and a control system around human beings. Because if you realise, like I do now, how very suppressed you are as a human being, and that you've never been told or even been enlightened in any way about what it is to be human, and that most around you is not human, you've got to figure it out. That, it's only when you are patrolled at a very mind control and psychologically destructive level by an entire city almost around you that you realise the situation. If you are not in this predicament, if you are not what we call a targeted human individual, because don't forget, targeted human individuals are just that. They're targeted human beings that are individual, totally like a fully functioning human being on their own. You're led to believe that you need other human beings, and in a reality, survival, food, clothing and shelter level, you do. But that's only because of the society and the set-up system that's been put around you. Because I'm limited as a human being, so I can't create my own reality. I can't bring the necessities for my survival into existence because I'm suppressed and surrounded by a negative android workforce of apparent real human beings that are basically keeping my frequency and vibration or my emotions so low and so depressed and unhappy and so controlled that I cannot create any life for myself. In other words, I can't provide for myself individually. They know that if I was at higher frequency and vibration, that I could. They, on the other hand, can only survive by combining. They are one mind in many bodies, you could say, just as we're told that all malignant narcissistic people have a similar mindset. This is because they are operating for the God of Earth, and the God of Earth needs to have massive numbers to control individual human beings, because individual real human beings are from creation. So they are real life and they are real creators. But in this reality, the only real creators are the false demigods of the Matrix or the false demigods of the computer system. Maybe not this one, but most that are on even the internet proclaiming to be truth tellers, proclaiming to be your helpful psychologists, your helpful philosophers, your gurus, your Buddhist teachers. All these, every single one without exception, is a demigod of the Matrix computer system and a demigod of the Earth stage play, you could say. Everything of Lucifer's reality or Lucifer's Earth is about controlling the human mind. controlling your perception of what you think you are and what you think the reality is. So I've just been in a total deceptive fairyland my entire existence. And the minute you become what they call awakened to it, or start to become aware, then they bring in total, outright, targeted suppression of you. Where yes, you have the planes over your head, you have the military, the army, and every single human being in your area basically surrounding and patrolling you, using technology with apps and programs on their computer systems to track and surveil and watch and suppress you 24/7. And they can do this because of the dust chips that they put in your eye and in parts of your body. They can do it through many, many, many chemical and scientific ways, which if you have the time and the inclination to study or to even just look up on the YouTube or the internet all the different scientific things that they actually have in invention. But what they don't tell you is that everything is not only already invented, they will tell you that they have invented all these things. But what they don't tell you is that they are in current normal operation. So every implant and every microchip that they talk about, every program, every high surveillance in certain areas is actually a worldwide thing against individual remaining human beings that are in small numbers and actually are on the verge of almost extinction. Some people call, and in even the Christian religion, I am told that at the end time, there's 144,000 human beings left. Only 144,000 aware, awake, real man and woman human beings that will be physically and mentally incapacitated and suppressed and limited to a very strong degree, so that they are not able to combine with the other 144 and therefore raise the frequency and vibration of the earth matrix, and therefore have some sort of way of staying in the earth or surviving against Lucifer's total android, transhuman, computer control cyborg system, or the old world order being an open new world order of total human computer transhuman control of the human mind. Sorry that I cannot explain these things as well as the false gods of earth, or the false idols of earth, or even the false human pretenders, because the truth will only be spoken through the mouths of false idols. Lucifer and the powers that be, Lucifer's disciples, which are the powers that be, anyone who's anyone on the world stage, anyone who's anyone that has any influence, any power or any voice, is one of Lucifer's disciples. This is the sad endgame truth. And I'm just going to stop the video here and now.